Okay, welcome to another ICI instructional video. In this video, we're gonna show you how to do a chicken Chardonnay. First thing that we wanna make sure for a chicken Chardonnay is that our breast, all right, has the French bone, that the skin is covering the whole breast, right? So first thing first, we're gonna start by turning our pan into medium heat. Now, when we talk about searing cooking method or a dry cooking methods, all right, we talk about high heat, all right, a nice Maillard reaction to keep the product juicy and tender. But when we're talking about the skin, when we're doing this particular process, we want to make sure that we control our heat. All right, we want to start with a medium heat so we can start rendering the fat of the skin, and the skin can start getting crispy while it gets brown also. We don't want to get this too dark, all right, because it's going to start imparting bitter flavors, right? So we have our pan getting warm. We are going to add our clarified butter, okay? We are going to then proceed to season our chicken breast with salt and pepper, all right? And then we're going to dust it. We're going to kind of dust it a little bit with flour. The flour is going to help to get that extra crispiness in our skin, all right? Now that we have seasoned it, we are going to take our pan, our sizzling pan, or any other pan, and we're going to dust it in here just slightly. All right, make sure that it's nice and covered. But also, we want to make sure that we are rendering, or that we are taking the excess flour off, as the excess flour, if it's done in here, it's going to burn rapidly, and it's going to make, all right, for a bitter and darker color of our sauce, right? So we're going to heat up our butter until it starts sizzling, all right? Another thing that we want to try avoid is overcrowding, right? Overcrowding means when we put too many pieces of protein inside a pan that is not going to be able to sear properly, all right? Now you can see this, the sizzling, all right? And something that I like to do, I like to help it and this initial process to kind of press the chicken breast, all right? So it has a uniform rendering of the fat and a uniform color. If you don't put a little weight on it, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have areas with more darker colors and other areas with lighter colors. This way, all right, you can achieve a more uniform color. We're gonna start, this is gonna be like a combined cooking method, meaning that we're gonna start with our chicken breast in a saute method. We're gonna put it in a roasting pan, and then we're gonna finish it roasting so we can do our sauce in the same pan that we did our chicken. All right? We're gonna let it cook for a little more, 1 more minute. Now, our chicken breast has achieved a nice sear on one side. It's got a nice golden brown color, as you can see. That's the color that we want to achieve, and nice and uniform, as I was mentioning. I'm going to have in here another pan, a sheet pan with a roasting rack, because I'm going to finish it in the oven, like I mentioned before, in here in a minute or two. I'm going to remove a little bit of this extra fat that has rendered also with the chicken skin, and I'm going to start cooking my sauce. I'm going to start making my sauce. Okay? So now that I have seared on both sides, you can see that we have a nice fond in here. We want to take advantage of that fond because that is also some flavors that we want to have. All right? So we're going to come in here. We're going to put this in a 350-degree oven until we achieve a temperature, a minimal internal temperature of 165. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to remove my excess fat. Okay? I am going to then add a little bit of hot butter and my shallots. Now, I want to sweat my shallots. I don't want to brown my shallots. What does that mean? Well, I don't want to achieve any caramelization. I want to develop the flavors, but without any colors, all right? By doing that, you do it at a low temperature, stirring frequently. When you want to achieve caramelization, you do it at a high temperature, and you don't stir as often. As I mentioned, you want those sugars to develop, to caramelize, all right? Now that I sweated my shallots, I'm going to add my mushrooms, and I'm going to cook them for 2 or 3 minutes until they have started to get softened. You want your shallots to be translucent. You also want your mushrooms, all right, to be nice and soft before we start deglazing, all right? Basically what we're doing, we're developing layers of flavors in here. And you are actually seeing also how the liquid that the mushrooms throw is evaporating. And at this point, I am going to put my mushrooms and my shallots to one side so I can expose the area where the fond is. And I'm going to deglaze with wine. You want to deglaze little by little. You don't want to add all the wine at the same time. So you add a little bit, you wait until the liquid is taking out or lifting that fond, and then you add a little more. At this time, we have taken all the fond out. And what we're going to do, we're going to let the wine reduce. By reducing it, we are concentrating the flavors and evaporating the alcohol, making the flavor more pleasant. All right? Once we reduce by half, we are going to add our chicken stock that we have in here. We want a little simmering temperature, which is going to be 185 to 200 degrees. I added my chicken stock. I'm going to reduce it for another 2 to 3 minutes. And then I'm going to add my cream. I'm going to reduce it a little more. And then, by then, my chicken should be done. I can take it out of the oven and finish the sauce with it, okay? Well, as you can see now, our chicken stock has reduced by half, so we're going to add our cream. We're going to be mixing it, all right? And we are going to keep reducing it for another half. What this is going to do, this is going to help with the nappe, all right, or the body of the sauce, and it's going to help intensify all those flavors in there. So now, I'm going to start taking my chicken out of the oven. You can see how beautiful color we have in here. The skin is nice and crispy. All right, that's exactly what we want. And something that you can see in here also, the bone is nice and white. There is no blood around it. That's a great indication. Another great indication that we properly seared our chicken is that the pan is pretty dry. There's not a lot of juices that fell. All right. At this moment, my sauce is completely reduce. It says that as at the right nappe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna season it with salt and pepper. I'm gonna taste it. And that's a great, great flavor that we have in here. Right now, our chicken has been resting, so we're gonna start commencing with the plating. What we wanna do is, we wanna get our plating spoon. And since we achieved that beautiful caramelization, that beautiful color, Maillard reaction in our chicken, we don't want to cover it all with that, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of sauce on the bottom of the chicken, all right? And then what we're going to do, we are going to place the chicken right on top of it. And finally, we want to add just to 1/3, all right, of our sauce. 1/3 of sauce to 1/3 of the chicken, all right? So it will cover the lower end. Finally, we're going to drizzle a little bit of parsley. And with this, okay, we have a beautiful chicken chardonnay, and that's it. That's our dish.